Hi everybody, welcome to the main garden. This is Lani from Gingerbread Garden, an avid gardener here in Maryland, Zone 7. One of the reasons I started gardening is because I wanted to have an easy access to food. I am one of those people that doesn't like going outside so much, so I decided to be more serious when it comes to growing my own food. I do it here in my small backyard here in Maryland suburb. This is not a whole lot of space, but when I say you can grow food, you can grow food in just small space. So I wanted to give you guys a tour in the garden and show you guys what are the possible plants or vegetables that you could actually grow from your own backyard. So over here I have my raspberries and blackberries. There's not a whole lot of blackberries, but these are mostly raspberries. I like growing these fruits because I found out that they are one of my favorite fruits that I can grow. I can't grow a lot of trees because of the limitations and space issues, and that will also mean I'm gonna be shading a lot of plants. I decided not to grow any fruiting trees at all because I don't think it's possible and they're ideal for my space. But I can grow bushes just like raspberries. So that's the reason why I decided to grow them. These are different varieties of ever-bearing raspberries. So they fruit for me in the spring and of the summer. So that's why I'm having another flash of berries right now. So as you can see, I also have netting in here. This is one of the things that I use to protect my garden from wildlife. Thankfully, the deer have really not been coming here in the garden, inside this garden, but they have done it in the past. That's why I have this netting right here. But for now, I think it helps deter or minimize the damage from birds because as you guys know already, birds love berries. So this one, for some reason, even though it's also a pain whenever I have to harvest. So what I did here is I really just drape a I don't know how big this one is. It's just in this layer out here. There's nothing on top, so even birds can actually get in there if they wanted to eat something from my garden. But for now, it provides the barrier wherein it enables me to have some harvest of raspberries. Most of my raspberry harvests actually come from this area where there's a little bit of netting, and on that part where on the top where there's really no netting, I don't really get to harvest that much raspberries from there. Back in the day when I used to buy raspberries, the raspberries usually would rot in just a couple of days. So that's one of the reasons why I don't really enjoy them that much. I wouldn't even consider raspberries one of my favorite fruits, but now that I'm growing them, I really love them. So with that, I actually dedicated to my Vego garden raised beds to grow raspberries and blackberries. This variety of raspberry is one of my favorites right now. It's very sweet. I'd say it's actually quite unique because it's not the usual color of raspberry. It's just fun to grow this variety. The variety is called, in case you guys are wondering. So here in this raised bed right here are my beans. One of my goals this year was to grow a lot of beans, enough that I'll be able to store some of them for the winter. In the past, I regret not having enough harvest to preserve beans. So in this raised bed, I dedicated pretty much the whole thing for different types of beans. And I did not label any of them because I'm not really aiming to harvest any seeds at all. I just planted different varieties in here. As you can see, it is really full of beans. I also have in here my Vego garden toolbox right there. There are different kinds of stuff in there. Sometimes I just stick in there different things that will be helpful for me when I'm gardening. And this is the hose reel that I'm using. This is Giraffe Tools hose reel. It looks old now, but it's still working. So I'm quite happy with this thing. If you're wondering what this one is, this is a hoop cover frame that I'm using for frost protection in the winter. I've just decided to keep it there because I want to do less work. If they can stay there, I just let them stay there. Now this raised bed right here is a total jungle. So there's a lot of sweet potatoes in here and you can it's almost covering the entire raised bed, but I also have this toolbox right there, and I even have warm composter right there. The sweet potatoes are going crazy right now, but hopefully I'll get a good harvest by the end of the season. So I basically interplanted these sweet potatoes with eggplant, I also have different varieties of peppers. This is banana pepper. This is bell pepper. I have this lilac, purple lilac pepper. I think this is a real black beauty, and the other one is black beauty. I may be interchanging them, but I have another one. This is the purple beauty pepper. This is the lunchbox pepper, which is the color red. And I have the shishito, which is one of my favorite peppers to grow. And over here in this raised bed, I have this A-frame that I've actually used to grow cucumbers and watermelon. Unfortunately, the watermelon didn't do well this year, but I'm thankful for the ones that I was able to harvest. So in this raised bed, I also have a lot of plants in here, and I do have some okra, a couple of varieties of okra. So I forgot the name, but this is burgundy okra, and I still have the last squash plant that is growing in the garden. This is the lemon squash, and as you can see, it's already having some powdery mildew. I usually prune the lower leaves, but like I said, this time of year I'm already done and exhausted from gardening, so I usually let some of the things just go to town and just go crazy and just be gentle on myself. This is asparagus that I actually thought that I have killed this asparagus, but apparently not. I also have basil plants in there, another okra, and one more okra. I actually have to harvest this one. So I harvest the okra pod at this stage just to make sure that I could enjoy them. They're one of the uh, garden goodies that I actually love harvesting a lot because I realized how much I like okra. I used to not like them, but I do like them a lot now. The funny thing about this lemon squash is that it has been cut multiple times because they have gotten so tall. So if I were to grow this one vertically, this would have been very long. But this one have gone up there, and I kind of twisted the other one and had it climb all the way up there so that it would continue producing some more. If you guys are not familiar with this variety, this is lemon squash. They're more like a personal size type of lemon squash because they look like a lemon, about the size of a lemon. Looks like a lemon, but they are squash. I like this one for several reasons, but first is because they do really well in the garden. This is usually the variety of squash that lasts me for a long time. So even if the rest of the squash have been uh, killed by the squash vine borer, this variety usually lasts me for a long time. And like I said, it's still producing even if the rest of them are gone already. So that's why this is a must grow for me every season because of how prolific it is, and also how it's able to withstand the attack of squash vine borer. Garden, the only reason why I'm able to garden here because our backyard is not fenced, so the only thing that keeps my plant from being protected from the deer are these netting. I wrap around the perimeter of the garden so that they could have a barrier so that the deer will not mess up with them. Another thing that I do is I don't plant most of the plants that are too attractive for them outside the perimeter so that the plants would not mess with them. If this is one of their favorites, they could have been eating this one, but I guess they don't really like the texture of squash, so they hardly mess with the squash plants. So it's a good call to plant them out there. Can you believe the amount of plants that I'm growing in this garden? It's a lot of plants, isn't it? I like being able to grow enough food to preserve and be able to share to friends as well. I like challenging myself in even though I have a pretty small space. So what I wind up doing is doing a lot of interplanting, vertical planting, and companion planting as well, just so I could maximize my growing space. I have gotten better when it comes to growing food, and I was able to preserve a lot of produce from this year. That's another topic to cover, but for now, I hope this video was able to inspire you if ever you are thinking of growing your own food. That's it, you guys. I appreciate you for hanging out with me and joining me in this garden tour. And I hope you guys were able to enjoy it and were able to pick up some of the ideas that you may be able to enjoy, you may be able to apply in your own garden. Stay tuned for the next one. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. And if there's anything that you wanted to share, if there's anything that you wanted to see from me, please tell me in a comment. Let me know if there's any other ideas that you want to share in the comment. And if you haven't yet, please like this video, and that'll be very helpful for me. See you soon.